okay there? Can you keep the snoring down, you think, a little bit? Okay. She's letting me use the room today. All right, let's just take a moment to relax your arms by your sides, wherever you may be, if you can. And take a couple breaths here and just noticing if you have any sensation of tension or pulling forward through the front of your chest and the front of your arms. We tend to notice more crankiness in the back of the neck or the upper back and the shoulders. But this is an area that gets overlooked quite often, and yet it is the part that is pulling forward and tugging on all that stuff in the back that makes it so uncomfortable. Really, we're just gauging like where we are now so we can compare it to when we are done. All right, let me give it a little internal, external rotation of the arms. You see my elbow pits here as I'm rolling them. Just getting some rotation at the shoulder joint. So ideally, if you can do this without lifting the shoulder blades too. If not, that's okay. Sometimes they just like to partner together. Just a bit of opening, and just again feeling if that opening is opening up into the front of the chest and the front of your shoulders. And you bring your hands up to your upper chest. If you can get the skin, it's a little bit more traction there, but if not, that's okay too. And just gently pulling under the collarbones, pulling the hands away from each other. I'm not sliding them across the chest. I'm just kind of tractioning the skin just ever so slightly, and take some breaths here. And as you exhale, a little gentle pull away, so your skin is gliding over the connective tissue, gliding over the muscles of your upper chest. Just encouraging some opening here, pulling the skin gently away from the center of your sternum. You pull down a little, move your head and neck around, lift your chin, feeling the tug of that platysma muscle that goes up into the jaw. All right. I'm going to take my right hand and bring it under the left collarbone. So you find your collarbone and follow it all the way to where it runs into your sternum. And there's a joint there. That is where your collarbone hinges at your breastbone there, the sternum. And just moving the shoulder blade around, because that's going to lift and lower that lever that is your collarbone. And just seeing how and if that joint can move. I find with a number of clients that because there's so much compression in the upper chest that this joint can get stuck, and it inhibits the full range of motion of the shoulder blade. So just using gentle massage pressure at the joint and then some of arm motion, kind of wiggle that free. And we're going to take fingers in gentle circles under the collarbone and just follow it all the way out to its end. Just before it gets to, you can feel the round, bony part of your upper humerus as it sort of dives into a little valley there. Some massages again. If you want to hold a few points and just move your arm around, you can feel that tissue moving under the fingers. All right. And I'm going to do some tapping here, light. Keep your wrists loose. We're not getting pokey and annoying with this. And just tapping, patting under the chest up to the shoulder. Externally rotate the arm. We're going to come down the arm to the hand, rotate the other way, come up to the shoulder, down and up. And you can use some very, again, loose wrists, chopping along the muscles into the biceps, into the deltoid. You can put your fingers together, called a little henpecking right at this muscle as it comes up to the elbow, can get very tight, and this can affect shoulder tension as well. Coming up the arm, patting on the shoulder. You can use loose fists here if you like, if it's very tight and tense. And grasping and twisting the upper arm. All right, and then take a finger or two. And we're gonna explore the top of the shoulder here. So if you find a spot, and it's a little bit tricky sometimes, depending on how much musculature you have around this area and how tight your tendons are. If you raise the arm without raising the shoulder blade too, you'll create a little valley here, and your fingers might sink into a little dimple. This is an important acupressure point that can release what we call stagnant chi in the upper body, down the arm, can help open up the lungs. If you don't get right on it, it's okay, but just notice, where your fingers might sink into a little dimple, and just holding that and moving your arm around. So you're rotating your upper arm relative to the shoulder joint. And then you can move your pressure around. Now there's a lot of tendons that are coming from your scapula and attaching to your upper arm, and you're going to feel these little ropey structures here, and some of them might be a little tender, and so we're not going to press right on them, but see if your fingers can find little spaces in between the tendons where you're getting more into the joint. And then you're moving the arm around with some pressure. I like to think we're just kind of massaging the shoulder joint and allowing some of that stuck energy, circulation to flow a little better. Again, you don't want to press right on the tendons. Many of us have some injuries waiting to happen in this area because of our movement habits that are kind of hard to help, right? Because of the world we are being called to live in these days. All right, again, give a little massage there. And then the last piece is coming into the axilla, the anterior part of the axilla, which is a fancy name for your armpit, and finding this front part, which is part of your pectoralis major muscle, and it attaches from, under the breast tissue to the arm, and this can get very pulled in and very tight. And I have found doing this either sitting or in conjunction with the floor angel, which we did in another video, either massaging this or just a gentle grasp of the front of your armpit. Not too hard, but just enough to kind of pin the muscle, and then again opening the arm, especially pulling it back. This creates a lot of, this tension in here can create a lot of immobility of the shoulder as a whole and keep it pulled forward. So this can help to just open up and free up the ability of your shoulder joint to move backward in directions that are quite necessary for the health of our shoulder, the breast tissue, a lot of things. There's a lot of lymph nodes in here too, so we want to be somewhat gentle, but enough to help massage it open. I had found a nice trigger point in here one day that just changed my day, just actually helped open up my whole shoulder assembly. All right. Again, you can also just rub it if you want to stroke it from the arm down in toward the center of the body, coming under the armpit, moving the lymphatic fluid. Little rub down, and then relax that arm. Notice it, how it compares to your other arm. All right, we'll start on the other side. So again, finding that sternoclavicular joint. So follow your collarbone toward the center till it runs into another bony spot there. And then just a little bit up, and imagining where it's connecting. If you need to watch the video, it'll show you where it connects to this triangular piece at the top of your sternum called the manubrium. And again, lifting and lowering your shoulder blade. Try to free up, jimmy that joint loose a little bit. This one's popping a little. I find sometimes when I'm sleeping, because I sleep in this very curled up position, when I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, they pop. It's kind of neat. But it shows you like all that compression in that position can just really exacerbate. It's not just sitting at a desk, right? It's even our sleeping postures that can create some of that congestion. All right, so then we'll massage out under the collarbone, out to where that little valley is. It dives into where your shoulder joint begins. And tapping or patting, and then coming down the arm, up the outside of the arm. A little karate chopping if you like, hen pecking. We live in a farm country, so you know this is a good analogy here. All right, and then looking for that divot. So if you can bring your arm out to the side and raising it up and find where your fingers just fall into the little dimple there. Point called great bone. Going to move the arm around. So as it moves, the hole gets a little deeper and then shallower. And again, only as much pressure as is comfortable. We're not trying to mash anything. In fact, we're trying to avoid mashing into the tendons here. And then you can explore where other little dimples may show up, and you'll feel the tendons pulling and moving under your fingertips, and try to get in between them. There's usually little spaces between where they attach. Come into where that I think this is where there's a muscle that goes under the collarbone. Or it might be aspects of your pectoralis that you're feeling pulling and stretching. All right, a little rub down. And then again into the axilla here. You pull your arm forward, you get a nice handful of it. You'll feel the ropiness of the musculature here. Again, nothing too extreme, but you can grasp it, and again, pulling the arm back. If you're going to give any pressure at all, it's probably safer to give pressure on this side, not so much on the underneath part. You can get your thumb in there, and you can feel some good spots as you bring the arm out and around. Little knots are what we call trigger points, and that's kind of nice to help, again, free up the shoulder assembly from the front part of your body. Rub it out, a little stroke. All right, shake it out. And again, come back to the arms by your sides or gently on your laps, and just take some breaths and notice if you are aware of any changes in the ease in the front of your chest and your shoulders, or just maybe some annoyance because we were poking around in there so much. I hope that was helpful. And, you know, again, if you're finding you can't really get to doing moves like hanging or things that, you know, really help to open up your anterior part of your shoulders, you can always just do a quick, you know, rotation, pressure, self-massage, percussion type thing that can be helpful to just release some of that stagnation. All right, if this was enjoyable for you, feel free to leave a comment. I'm always curious to know how this goes for everybody. So, all right, take care.